Alright, this is an overview of what we did in class today on Monday, February 11th. The first thing that we did was look over the homework that was given, the rules for creating search sets. I'm not going to go over it in this video, but please do go back and look at the assignment and look at your results. And if you have any questions about any of the rules that were talked about in the assignment, please let me know so I can go over them with you. The second thing that we did was look at how to revise search sets. To do this, we went into the textbook, to Chapter 3, to the student activities. We used the revised search set activity. This is something that you will want to go through because you will be expected to understand how to improve upon a search set that you've created that does not work out as you expect it would work. It's just a 5-part activity in which you will look at a search. In this case, for this first one, it's protest and nonviolent, and you will try to figure out how you could make that search better by dragging down one of these search terms into the box that make it work better. For this first one, if you think about it, protest and nonviolent is a very broad search. So the results that you get back are going to be very, very broad. How can we make that a narrower search? If we go up here and look at our search terms, and if we remember that we are focusing on the topic of the Montgomery bus boycott, one term that we could probably move down here to make the search better would be Montgomery Improvement Association. Adding that term to the search is going to mean that you're going to be pulling back results that talk about protests and talk about nonviolence, but that are specific to the Montgomery Improvement Association, which was an organization that was connected to the Montgomery bus boycott. You could also move down this term up here, this Montgomery bus boycott term. That is something that possibly would be a good fit because it would also tie those words back to your search, your original topic as well. So you may find that there are different answers that can be filled in, but each of these, as you go through, there will be one specific one that you should try to fill in. This activity is not for any points, but you should go through it so that you can see some ways that you can revise searches. And if you have any questions about how to revise those searches, then you'll want to speak to me afterwards. We also looked at the use of natural language in our searching. Search engines like Google often will allow you to put a search in your own words, and it will work with natural language. Natural language is basically all of those words that you're using to make up an idea in your head. It's almost how you would say a question, or maybe what you're thinking in your head. For example, we have right here, history of the national parks in the United States. If you were thinking about that topic, that's probably a phrase or a question you might raise. You can't put this whole phrase into your search, though, in a tool such as a database, because the database requires that you make your search very specific and that you use Boolean operators to tie your search terms together. So one thing you want to do when you're creating your search is making sure that you're eliminating all of the natural language that's being used. For example, if I was looking for information on the history of the national parks in the United States, one thing that I might do would be go through that phrase and pull out the words that I could put into a search. So I could put history into a search. I could put national parks into a search. And you'll notice that I put national parks inside quotation marks because that is a unit search term. And I might also use United States. Those are the three major terms that come out of that search that are very specific to the topic that I would put into a search. A search that I might build would be history and national parks and United States. Let's take a look at this next example. How big can a giant squid get? Something to keep in mind with something like this is that if you look at it, it's going to have an obvious search term that you could pull out. In this case, it would be giant squid. The question, though, is also looking at the size of the giant squid. You might do a search where you say giant squid and big or how big, but another way to possibly say how big would be to say just the word size. So that would be probably the search term that I would use, and I would combine these two like this. And so the purpose of this particular search example, I just want to show you that sometimes with your natural language, you might find a better, more succinct way to get your idea across within the search. So even if you have an idea in your head, don't assume that you have to use those exact words that are in your head. You might be able to think of a better way to say it. In this case, size versus saying how big would be a better way to search. Our next question is, what are the rules of tennis? I think there are two obvious search terms in this particular example. They are rules and tennis, and that is exactly how I would make that search, because it's going to pull back results that talk about the rules and of tennis. Something that people often do is they'll think, oh, rules of tennis, and they'll pull out that entire phrase and they'll put it in quotation marks. The problem with doing that is that when you plug in rules of tennis into a search, it's going to look for articles that only say rules of tennis. It won't look for each of those words on their own. It will look for just that phrase. And so you might really limit the results that you're going to get back, because not every article that talks about the rules of tennis is going to have that phrase, rules of tennis. So you want to really slim down the search and just use the basics, so rules and tennis. All right, so after taking a look at this, we want to go back to our textbook and complete another activity. This activity is also in Chapter 3, so go to ebook, to Chapter 3, student activities, and this one is called Natural Language Search Sets. Again, this is one that you should go through and look at the natural language search set and fill in a more appropriate search set. So, for example, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a young preacher when he ran the Montgomery bus boycott. We want to look through this and pull out, well, we probably need to talk about Martin Luther King because he's an important focus in this sentence. And he ran the Montgomery bus boycott. So let's focus on the Montgomery bus boycott. And so you'll notice that those were the two key ideas that came out of that general kind of natural language idea that you had. You have to pull out what the specific words are that you need to search, and those two would be it. You'll also notice that each of them is a search term that is made up of multiple words, which would make it a unit search term. So therefore each of them would be inside quotation marks. You'll want to complete each of the 5 steps within this activity as well. It is also not worth any points, but you will be expected to understand and demonstrate that you know how to make a search that does not contain natural language. So please do complete this activity, and please ask me if you're unsure about any of the answers that are given, or if it's not clear as to why they went one way versus another. Lastly, you do have some homework for today. Let's go to the assignments folder in Blackboard, and then we will go to the week 5 folder. And the folder for today was Monday, February 11th. And the homework is going to be to read Chapter 4 and take the Chapter 4 quiz. Those are due by the start of class on Wednesday. If you have any questions about this or any of the in-class activities we did today, please send me an email or give me a call or stop by my office on Wednesday during my office hours.